Hello dear students and welcome to our TV lesson. Today our lesson is entitled Technology, a Blessing in Disguise. As you notice, it's a question, so our job today will be to answer this question by the end of the lesson. Okay, to start with, we're going to start with some quotations and some proverbs. As you know, we are in the unit of creative and inventive minds, so in order to create and invent things, we need our brain. Here is a quotation about the brain. A brain is an apparatus with which we think we think. Okay, as you notice, we think is repeated. Do you think this is a mistake? Well, it's not, but it means that we think with our brain. So we have the illusion of thinking with our brain. So maybe this means that in the future, the human brain will be replaced by some other machine or a robot that will replace humans and that we will not need our brain anymore. Okay, let's move to the next quotation. Necessity is the mother of invention. As you see, necessity is the noun from the adjective necessary. So this means that we invent things because they are necessary. We can think of some examples like the car, for example. Why did man invent the car? Well, it's because man thought it was necessary for him to move, to travel, to visit different places. Although the phone, well, it's necessary for humans to communicate with each other, to talk to each other. So whenever we need something, whenever we think it is necessary, we invent it. Third and last quotation, well, here it's more of a mathematical equation. Genius equals 100% inspiration plus 99% perspiration. Well, to understand this equation, we need to understand every word. Genius. What's a genius? A genius is a very intelligent person. So anyone who invents something must be intelligent, so he is probably a genius. Inspiration. Well, if you are inspired, this means that you are imaginative, you have imagination, you can create things, imagine things. And perspiration. Literally, perspiration means sweat. And when do you sweat? It's when you work hard, when you make an effort. So in other words, intelligence is 100% imagination, but 99% hard work. So in order to be an inventor, you don't need to be intelligent, that's all, only intelligent. You don't need to be only imaginative, but you have to work hard. So inventors are intelligent and work hard workers at the same time. Let's move now. We have some verbs related to inventions, to creations, and we're going to match every word with its definition. Here are the verbs. To create, to invent, to discover, and to find out. Now the definitions. A, to find something previously unknown unexpectedly. B, to get to know something, especially by asking somebody or searching in the appropriate source. C, to bring something into existence. And D, to be the first to think of, make, or use something. Let's start with to create. We all can create things. If you draw a painting, you're going to create it. So what does it mean? It's as if you give birth to something or you bring something into existence. So to create is to bring something into existence, to make something exist, something that didn't exist before, and you create it, so you make it exist. Now, to invent. You may say to create and to invent are almost the same. Well, it's true, but there is a difference. What's the difference between creating and inventing? When you create, you bring something into existence. But when you invent, you are the first to create. You are the first to make this creation. So it means to be the first to think of, make, or use something. Well, let me give you an example to make it clearer in your minds. To create, for example, if we can think of a table, for example, we all can create tables. Why not? We can create a new design. But is it an invention, a table? Well, no, because it already exists, so it cannot be an invention. Cars in the beginning of the 20th centuries were inventions because they didn't exist before. So that's the difference between creating and inventing. Creating means bringing something into existence. Inventing is doing it, but for the first time. Let's move to discover. Okay, here I'm going to give you an example for you to try to find the right definition. We can think of Christopher Columbus, for example. Christopher Columbus discovered America. So what does it mean? Did he ask somebody in order to find America, or did he find it unexpectedly? Well, of course, it's to find something previously unknown means something that nobody knew about, and unexpectedly, without thinking of it. To find out now, of course, to get to know something, especially by asking somebody or searching in the appropriate source. If you want to find the definition of a word, for example, you either ask your teachers or you ask someone who knows, or you look for it in the dictionary. So this is the meaning of to find out. Okay, now let's have a look at these pictures. These are inventions, and we're going to try to guess what each invention is. The first one, look carefully at this picture. If you see, we have here, it's a person, and the picture was taken in the sky. So it is normally an airplane. But you know that today airplanes are different from this. This was the first airplane, and thanks to it, the inventor of this airplane was able to fly for 1 hour only. And you know that today you can take flights that last 12 hours. So you see there is a difference. But this one was the first airplane ever. Then let's look at this picture here. What is it? I'm sure we all use it. We wouldn't imagine our life without it, especially at night, because without this invention, we will live in darkness. So what is it? It is a light bulb. And of course, we use it in order to enlighten our dark nights. Next picture. Well, this picture is very clear. That's obvious. It is, of course, a car. And finally, well, this picture is the most difficult, I think. Can you guess what it is? It's not a CD player, as you may think, because of its round shape. Well, it is the first telephone. And you may tell me this doesn't look like a present telephone. Well, of course, because things have changed, and now telephones are different from this one. Okay, now we need to know who invented each of these inventions. We're going to match every invention with its inventor. Here are the inventions, and here are the inventors. First, Mr. Alexander Graham Bell. Then we have here two people. They are brothers, the Wright brothers. Then Henry Ford, and finally Thomas Edison. Let's start by the plane. Who invented the airplane? Is it Alexander Graham Bell? Well, no, of course. Is it Thomas Edison? Well, we know what Thomas Edison invented, but the airplane was invented by the Wright brothers. I was talking about Thomas Edison. What did he invent? Well, the light bulb or electricity. And we cannot be grateful enough to Mr. Thomas Edison, because without him, without his innovation, I think life would be different and we wouldn't have all the technology we have nowadays. Then, the car. Well, we have two people remaining, Henry Ford or Alexander Graham Bell. You may rely on the names of these persons. Henry Ford. Ford, does it ring a bell? Well, certainly, it's the inventor of the car. And finally, the telephone was invented by Alexander Graham Bell. Okay, now I told you that things have changed and every invention was developed, and it is more sophisticated, of course, nowadays. Let's look at the first invention, which is the airplane. This is the first airplane, as I told you. Well, through time, airplanes began more sophisticated, more modern. Here's a picture of another plane. It's newer, of course, and it was used here in the First World War. As you notice, in the first plane, the pilot is not in security at all. He is directly, I think his feet are in the air directly, so it's not really safe. The second picture shows a better equipped plane, safer and probably more efficient, of course. Next picture. This picture is more modern than the first and the second one. You see that the pilot has a cockpit. He is protected. He is safe. There is no problem. And nowadays, we have more versions of planes, and these planes are very fast. They are well equipped with sophisticated machines and so on. But of course, these are military planes, but fortunately, we don't use planes only for military purposes. We also use them in order to transport people from different places of the world to different countries, of course, to visit as tourists and so on. And as you see in this picture, this is a very sophisticated airplane that can carry hundreds of passengers, and that is, of course, safe. And you know that the plane is the safest means of transport ever. Okay, the car now. As you see here, we have 3 pictures of 3 different cars that were invented or created in different times. I'm going to give you some dates. The first one, 1893, 1908, and finally 2000. We're going to match every picture of a car to its date of invention or creation. The easiest one is the second, I think, because it is the most modern, the most sophisticated, and it certainly wasn't invented in 1893. This is too old. It certainly was created in the year 2000. As you see, it is brand new, shining, well equipped. You have all the comfort you need. It's very comfortable compared to the 2 other pictures. Okay, now we have 2 dates remaining and 2 pictures. A date, very old, 1893, and a more recent one, 1908. Okay, we have 2 pictures. Which one do you think is the oldest? The first or the third? Well, of course, it's the third. That is very old. As you see, there are different equipments. The first one is more equipped than the third one. And for your information, the third picture of the car is called a horseless carriage. So it is normally meant to be used with horses, okay? So it was invented in 1893, which is of course very old. And Henry Ford's car, the Model T, it was called, was invented in 1908. Okay, so we talked about the phone, we talked about the cars. Now we're going to move to the phone. You remember Alexander Graham's phone? The very old one? The one which is made of wood? Well, it changed, certainly, to better-looking phones, phones that are certainly more efficient, with which you can communicate with different people from different places of the world. Then it changed also. We have different shapes, different forms, and there is an evolution. You sure think that the third picture is better than the first one, of course. Nowadays, things have changed even more, and we have something that everyone has, I think, nowadays, the cellular phone or the mobile phone, using satellite. Very small compared to the first picture, right? Well, you think it's very small? What do you think of this picture now? This picture shows an even smaller phone. Very, very small. So you see how technology has been from the very old Alexander Graham Bell's phone up to the very small, tiny phone that has the same function, if not better, more functions and better ones. Okay. Now we're going to move to an exercise in order to learn more about technology and its impact on our life. Now, you sure know that Technology is present in every day in our life. We use it every day, sometimes without even knowing it, because we got used to using technology. So here we have this paragraph, and as you noticed, there are some blanks. So our job will be to fill in the blanks with 8 words from the list below. Let's have a look at the list. This is our list. As usual, we need to look at every word, try to understand it, try to know its nature, so that we know what we need to put every time we have a blank. We have the first word, which is affect. Affect is a verb meaning influence. To affect means to influence, to have an influence on something. Benefited, well, it's a past participle or a verb in the past. To benefit from something means to take its advantages. Aspect, which is a noun. About, a preposition. Provide, another verb. And what does it mean? Since we have many verbs, so we need to focus on their meaning. Provide means give. You provide me with something means you give me that something. Then we have cellular. Cellular is an adjective. And of course, what can be cellular? Well, in our context, it's the phone, of course. Effectively, which is an adverb. Despite, here it's a linker that shows contradiction. And after despite, we need to have a noun phrase, okay? Entertain, a verb. To entertain means to have fun, to enjoy yourself. And finally, to, which is a preposition also. Okay, let's have a look at this exercise together. We will do it together. We will try to think of its solution and try to have a full mark if you have it in the exam. We live in the age of technology. We commute by automobiles and airplanes and communicate by emails and blank phones. Okay, pretty easy this one, right? Phones is a noun, and before a noun we know that we need an adjective. And here it is even easier because, as I told you, phones can be cellular, of course. And it's even easier because that's the only adjective we have. Let's move now. Sorry. Every day, the media and internet blank us with the latest information from all over the world. Okay, so we know that every sentence must be composed of a subject followed by a verb. This is our sentence. The media and internet, that's our subject. So usually we need a verb. And as you know, in our list we have many verbs, so we must rely on the meaning. What is meant by media? Well, media is everything related to information, newspapers, newspaper articles. So what is their function? What do they do? What is their activity here? They blank us with the latest information. Do they entertain us? Well, I think that most of the news we hear about the world are not really entertaining, are they? Do they affect us? Well, they certainly affect us. But here we have with the latest information from all over the world. So they give us information. They keep us informed. So we need the verb provide. The media and internet provide us with the latest information from all over the world. Let's continue. Movies filled with high-tech special effects, full stop, us. Okay, we have again the same problem. We need a verb. We have two verbs. We need to rely on the meaning. We have affect or entertain. Here we're talking about movies. Why do you go to the movies? Why do you go to the cinema? Well, to be entertained, of course. So they entertain us. Okay, next one. Air conditioners and heaters keep our life comfortable, blank, climatic inconveniences. Air conditioners, when do we use them? We use them when it's very hot in order to cool the atmosphere down. Heaters, the opposite, we use them when it is very cold in order to keep ourselves warm. So they keep our life comfortable, and from the other part of the sentence we have climatic inconveniences. So we need despite means even though sometimes we have climatic changes, bad weather, well, we have the air conditioners and the heaters to keep our life comfortable. So you see the contradiction. Next one, technology has transformed almost every blank of our lives. Here we need a noun, and what is the noun we have? Every aspect of our lives. Do you agree with this sentence? Well, I think yes, because technology has certainly transformed every aspect of our life. Everything in our lives has changed because of or thanks to technology. We will see if it's because of or thanks to. Next one. Of course, a few of us may have concerns, blank, pollution and environmental problems, which technology has led to. Here, the problem we have is with the phrase here, to have concerns. What's the meaning of having concerns? If you have concerns, it means that you are worried. You worry, you think. And what do we use with you worry, you think? About. The same can be said about to have concerns, about pollution and environmental problems, which technology has led to. But overall, most people feel that they have enormously blank from technology. Well, here I think that we cannot be wrong. We have first hint, they have the auxiliary, then an adverb, enormously. So what do we need here? We need the past participle. Another hint, from. What is the verb that can go with from? It's to benefit. So the answer is they have enormously benefited from technology. Often, the proponents of technology argue that the misuse is to be condemned, not technology itself. Let's stop at this sentence for a moment. What does it mean? They mean that technology is not bad, after all, even though sometimes it has some drawbacks. But they say here that what is bad is the way we use it. So, it's all in our hands. We can use technology in a good way and we can use it in a bad way. But technology itself is not bad, cannot have negative effects. We make the negative effects. So, these proponents, they compare technology, blank, a knife. In the hand of a criminal, it kills, but in the hand of the surgeon, it cures. So when you compare two things. You compare something to something else, of course. So technology is compared to a knife. This sentence here is very interesting. I think it sums up our lesson because it is the moral we must draw from this lesson. Technology is like a knife, of course. A knife, if you give it to a criminal, what will he do? Well, he will kill. He will make a crime. He will make something bad with it. The same can be said about technology. In the wrong hands, technology can have really disastrous effects. But in the hand of a surgeon, what's a surgeon? A surgeon is a doctor who makes operations and he saves lives. So the knife he uses is saving many lives. So you see, this means that technology can be at the same time positive and negative. It all depends on us. We must know how to use it, right? Okay. The cell phone that we talked about in this paragraph, why do we use it? Why exactly do we need this technology? What do people use it for? Well, the different uses can be categorized in two parts. First, we have this type of use, to let others know where we are, which is good, of course, because thanks to this, if we ever have any problem, we can make a phone call and we can be saved from any place we are. So that's an advantage of the cell phone. Also, to be reachable in any place at any time. Wherever you go, whenever people need you, they can call you. So in case of emergency, this can be very helpful, right? And to arrange meetings. Well, I think all of us cannot imagine life without cell phones. We sometimes wonder, how did people make appointments without having a cell phone? How did they know where to meet each other? Well, nowadays, this is an impact on our life, which is the cell phone. Without cell phone, I think we wouldn't be able to arrange meetings anymore. Well, we will be, but it would be more difficult, right? And of course, there are other uses that we can make of the cell phone. So here, we can call them basic uses. These are the basic uses of any phone: to be reachable, to communicate, and so on. However, the cell phones, especially when used by teenagers, right, can have different uses. For example, to play tricks on others. You play tricks means you make fun of someone. You try to make this person angry, to try to have fun about this person. So to play tricks on others. Also, to play games. We know that nowadays mobile phones are equipped with many games, with songs, with video clips, and you can use them whenever you are waiting for a bus, for example, or when you have nothing to do, so it can be a means of entertainment when you have free time. But is it really the use of a phone? Do we need a phone in order to play? We must think of that. And also to wake us up. We use it to wake us up, don't we? Right? So, is it the function of a phone? This is the function of an alarm clock. But nowadays, the phone has replaced the alarm clock and has taken the place of many other technological innovations. And also, of course, we have many other uses which are, I think, secondary in a way. And they can have some bad influence on our life. If you spend your time playing games with your phone, playing tricks on others, this will take your attention from doing other things that can be more beneficial to you. So in other words, phones can have advantages if we use them as a basic. So they can enhance communication. Whenever you want to talk to one of your friends, to a family member, you just take your phone and you talk to this person, you speak with him. So they enhance, they encourage, they improve communication. And also, any place in the world is just a phone call away. So if you have friends in different parts of the world, in Canada, in America, in Australia, which are very far away from here, well, if you miss these persons, you just make a phone call and you are sure to talk to them at the same time, which is really something fantastic, right? So by satellites, we are able to talk simultaneously to people from different places in the world. So these advantages have a positive impact on our life. So since they have a positive impact, we can call them a blessing. Since it is a blessing, it means that we use it and it has positive effects on our lives. On the other hand, phones are not only beneficial, they can have disadvantages. Like what? Well, they can cause health matters. Well, many researchers have been done in order to prove that mobile phones can be unhealthy. They can cause many problems, especially in the long term. And also, they can distract people's attention. For example, when driving, we know that if you drive and talk on the phone at the same time, well, you can be the cause of many accidents. So this is really a disadvantage. So we can say that it's a negative impact on our life. Since it is a negative impact, we cannot say that it's a blessing. It is rather the opposite. It is a curse. So what we can draw from this, conclude from this table, is that phones can have advantages, they can also have disadvantages. They can be a blessing or a curse at the same time. So we have, from on the one hand, a blessing, on the other hand, a curse, and our job is to make the difference between these two elements. We should not trust technology blindly. We should think, we should be wise, and we should know how to take advantage of the blessings of every technology and try to avoid its disadvantages, of course. Well, the same can be said about cars. Cars can be a curse when they a blessing, when they shorten distances. Any distance is very short. You just take your car and you go to wherever you want. And they facilitate movement. Before, people used to travel by feet. Now they just take their cars and it is easier, of course. So as I said, it is a blessing. At the same time, this blessing hides some curses. There are some things behind that are negative, like, for example, causing mortal or fatal accidents. Because of cars, the number of accidents increased. And also, cars can be a source of pollution. So you see, at the same time, it is a blessing. We are all thankful for Henry Ford, for example, to have invented the car, but we know that there are some curses hidden. They cause mortal accidents, they cause pollution. People are lazy nowadays, they don't walk, they drive their cars. So all of these are curses hidden behind the blessings. Well, I have another paragraph, and this time it's about another invention, which is the TV. We all use TV, right? I think many of you cannot imagine their lives without TVs. So let's read this paragraph and try to find what is the problem behind this paragraph. As you notice, we have some words between brackets followed by blanks. So our job will be to put the bracketed words in the right tense or form. Let's start to read, please. As a youngster, I always had the TV on. It was my friend. Can you have the TV as your friend? Is it healthy to have the TV as your friend? Well, I think there is a problem here. We shouldn't have TVs as friends, right? Later, when my first child was, we have birth, I began to notice how harmful exposure to television was. So, when my first child was, we must say here, born, of course. It was disgusting for me to see our beautiful and energy blank child become frozen in front of cartoons. So we have beautiful, then and, so we must think of parallelism, so we need an adjective, and energetic. Something had to, then we have do and blank. Okay, normally after had to, we must think of the infinitive. But if I say something had to do, doesn't have any meaning. Can something be active? So we must think of the passive and we must say something had to be done. At first, it was very hard for me because my husband and I had to set an example. There were so many shows that I thought then we have can, not, live without, but slowly we started making progress. So everything is in the past, so also the modal can must be in the past, and it is negated, so we say I could not live without. Last spring, we have final, cut out watching TV, and surprisingly, our life continues. So we have the subject, cut out, the verb. In between, we need the adverb, so we say I finally. In fact, our life is even, what do we need here to replace good? It's even better. I feel much more confidence in myself. TV can make someone do something, so make you believe that everything is beautiful and easy. But we have real, is that family life is more important. After we need a noun. What's the noun from real? It's reality. So the reality is that family life is more important. So what's the problem here? It is addiction. So as you see, TV is beneficial, of course, but it can cause addiction. So at the same time, it is a blessing and a curse, depending on how we use it. Okay, now we're going to have a reading that will lead us into writing. The reading will be an article that appeared in your school magazine. We're going to read it together, then we need to find its main idea. What is its goal? Let's see. The internet changed our life positively. To spend hours a day on the internet is normal for many people. They use this kind of medium to get information about all topics, to chat with persons from all over the world, and so on. Whatever you are looking for, you will find it. In the past, you used to send a letter. Now the email has replaced the traditional letter. You do not have to buy stamps anymore, and it is much faster and cheaper. Children also use the internet. This enables them to learn how to work with the computer. Even if it's the first contact with the computer, after a few minutes, they will know that the computer mouse is no animal running on the monitor. They learn to write on the keyboard, to navigate, to open and close programs, to save data within hours. On a normal computer course for beginners, you will certainly need more time. For many women, their own children are the main reason for staying at home. Nowadays, this won't be a problem anymore. You can do work on your computer at home. If you have a family, you can spend more time at home. Probably you can spend more time with your children. Another advantage of the internet is that you can join a community. You can create new social contacts around the world, which you could not do so easily without the internet. Such communities can also help people who cannot go out to find friends in real life. It is also easier for people who are afraid to look into the other's face while talking to chat with a person that they do not know. Okay, let's have the first question. As I told you, we need to find the main idea, which is the aim of the text. From the very beginning, from the first sentence, we have the internet has changed our life positively. So, are we criticizing the misuse of technology? Are we warning about the drawbacks of computer addiction? Or is the text praising the internet in today's society? Well, of course, this text is praising the internet, enumerating the different advantages. This is the meaning of to praise, to talk about the advantages and the qualities. Okay? Next question. According to the text, who can benefit from the internet? Well, let's look. We have children and also women. So this is our answer, children and women, among others, of course. But I'm just going to focus on these two examples. Now, how do children and women benefit from internet? Let's go back to the text. Children, well, they learn how to work with the computer. And they learn to write on the keyboard, to navigate, to open and close programs, to save data, and so on. And this is done very quickly. As for women, you know that many women stay at home because they have children and they are obliged to raise them and they cannot have a job at the same time. Well, thanks to internet, you can do work at home on your computer. So, if you have a family, you spend more time at home and you spend more time with your children. So, let's go back and classify these different advantages for children. So, internet enables them to learn how to work with the computer, and they learn to write on the keyboard, to navigate, to open and close programs, and to save data. As for women, well, they can do work on their computer at home, as I said.